So this is going to be a normal episode. So you ready? Hi, Kim Duke.
Hey, Chris Duke. Oh, that kind of... I don't want to do that episode. Okay.
Yeah, don't fart.
No farting and stuff like that.
I'm not good.
I'm going to fart.
Okay. So we're in quarantine. We haven't recorded a normal episode in 4 months. Something like that. It's pretty wild. Day or week what of quarantine?
44.
No.
I think it's 4.
8.
Kids got out of school the 13th of March.
It was
And
February.
lockdowns-
It was February 20.
March 26th is when the stay-at-home order went into place. Yeah.
So crazy.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It does feel like 44 weeks, though.
It's been 44 weeks.
Yeah, it's a bananas time. So really the only people that we are able to have any like physical contact with are the people that I blame most of my genetic problems for, which are these two old farts sitting across from us right now. No, you don't need to adjust your TVs. Those wrinkles are real.
That skin is that pasty.
Soon won't be that pasty.
We should have powdered the top of your head for the sheen we got going on here. I'm excited. I haven't. We haven't had you guys. Well, yeah, Mom, you talked on Dad's episode. Since we were bashing Connecticut and New Jersey. Do you know that was 2 years ago?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It was in the old house.
It was
Yeah, in the old house. You guys are in a new house. So this is my mom and dad, Hugh and Laneen Duke.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, we clap for every guest. I'll add in a clap track for that one. Note that for the post-production guy. So the house that you guys have now, do you remember like the first time as you were a kid seeing a house like that and going, "Oh my gosh"?
I grew up around that.
You saw the homes I grew up in.
Yeah.
I always felt like we lived in a shack. So all homes look like that. How about you, Laneen?
Is this his show?
You remember the first time? Do you remember the first time that you shit inside?
It was at a friend's house.
Probably. No, but I remember the first time we had a bathroom that was
Yeah.
inside.
Pull that mic a little closer to you.
And now you have 3 bathrooms.
We have 3 bathrooms.
Man, living in luxury. One of them is actually made for little people, which is pretty cool. That little bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Have you tried to poop in that bathroom?
Yeah.
That's
You got to
probably
squat.
the best toilet.
I kneed myself in the chin the first
You
time I
gotta
tried
dip
to
low.
shat in there.
You do have to dip low.
And washing your hands, when you go to dry your hands, you're getting them dirty all over again because those kids get paint and stuff all over the towels in there. But
true.
I think it's
There's paper towels in there now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I think protesters in Oregon would have some things to say.
Convenience we like to offer.
With all the paper products being low and,
Well,
and high in
Dad's
demand.
Works in the paper industry. We want to support that.
Yeah, there you go.
You're thriving right now in the paper industry.
Interesting that you would bring that up. No. We're not doing too awesome. But if you were making tissue and paper towels, you'd be doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And hand sanitizer.
And hand sanitizer for sure. I think that's crazy breweries and distilleries are making hand sanitizer. I never would have thought
awesome.
about that, like that being possible. Like
Just converting.
yeah,
Like,
because
wasn't
I get that they have alcohol, but I never think of the ingredient process of that. Them going, yeah, we could just remove this and then it's hand sanitizer.
Yep.
Like
Crazy.
Wally and Melissa, my aunt and uncle, Wally had rubbing alcohol and he did 60% rubbing alcohol and then 40% water and gave that to grandma.
Yeah, that works.
for hand sanitizer?
Or an aloe vera.
Yep.
A lot of people use aloe.
Yeah, I just saw that online they have recipes for your homemade hand sanitizer.
Yep.
So you use
That's so interesting.
rubbing alcohol at least 60-something% and then aloe vera or aloe.
Yeah.
And it makes the hand sanitizer.
I thought it would have been glycerin or something. It's not, huh? I don't know. The commercial stuff? No idea.
Glycerin, that's the song by Bush. So let's go back, because this year has been pretty crazy. Do you remember like the first time you heard about COVID, like over in China?
I think it was in December, right?
Oh, you mean the China virus?
Yeah. The Kung flu.
Where did that start?
Yeah, in Vietnam.
You're supposed to say China.
That's what I said, Taiwan. Now.
Yeah, I do remember first time hearing about it.
And it's seeming so far away.
Yep.
But then it started to feel like a movie in the way that it started to creep in. I honestly thought...
It started to move across Europe, and then you could watch it come closer to us.
And then that one bitch in New York who went to the mall...
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, this lady, that's no joke.
Oh.
I know.
From China, a trip to China and went to the mall?
Yeah. First thing she did, went to the mall. Absolutely ridiculous.
Did she know she had COVID?
Yeah, they had tested her, and but I forget like why she was like, oh, it's fine. I feel fine. I don't know if she was like asymptomatic or what the deal was, but for some reason,
she felt fine.
Yeah, she felt fine enough to go to the mall rather than quarantine herself.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Probably fake news. You
Is
guys
she
probably
in
read it on Facebook.
Is she in jail right now?
I think she died.
Oh, geez. Well, that took care of that. Don't need to
and
write
she said
letters.
that on camera.
Yeah.
That's a
she
tough
really did
woman.
die?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. This is it's bananas. And so like it's weird to think like the thing that they don't show in the movies is how much normal activity they expect to happen while we're dealing with a pandemic. So like as all of the stuff was ramping up in the US, people were like the government, everybody was saying, go to work, do your thing. And like they weren't, the only precautions they were saying was like wash your hands, don't touch your face. But they wanted everything to keep running. And that felt so strange to me, that people were catching it super quickly and that we were still being told to work. And so I thought about that, like in the movie scenario, be funny to do that spinoff of like where all of the crazy stuff is happening, but Carl and Nancy are still in accounting going like, did you hear about so-and-so? But you don't see any zombies. They're just talking about it. Oh yeah, my neighbor got taken out.
That would be weird. That'd be funny. That's a funny line. That'd be a funny concept. I like that.
It's so strange though.
It is really
like
strange.
your work, nobody stopped.
We can't.
What do? You manage an Arby's?
Yeah. Those people are still working too.
Those fries are not going to curl themselves. So that's what we've placed importance on.
Yes.
Is fast
Arby's
food
and medicine.
Fast food and medicine.
Obesity is not going to treat itself.
Obesity is not going to treat itself.
Wow.
Wait a second. Is
What
it
a
not
great
gonna...
market they've got going on.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah, I feel like you keep getting further from the microphone. If you want to lean
You
back.
can lean back. You just got to
Pull the microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, these move. I'm a professional. I like to fidget throughout the episode.
It's the ADD.
Now, so Hugh, you wake up in the morning, you do your Peloton class.
Yep.
You go and shoot squirrels with a BB gun.
Yep.
What's it like now waking up and you live on a lake? You're pretty far
part.
removed from all of that stuff. So there's no commotion. Everything was kind of calm anyways,
That's
but
a good
now there's
question.
an extra layer of that.
It's a good question.
What is that like?
It's still sad.
Yeah, because
Makes
you
us
when you
sad.
hear a lot at work because you.
Because, that's
Your role.
all we do at work. Oh, that's all we do.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of
So,
big
and then-
meetings then about what's
Yes.
going to happen next,
Yep.
that kind of thing? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that blows my mind.
It's prevention.
That's all we do. And then to
Yeah.
come
It's
home.
what if stuff.
How
I
is
know,
it hard
I
to
like it.
disconnect when you get home?
No, because you don't
So-
disconnect because we're facing the same thing as Grandma.
All the way home, he's thinking, I wonder what that crazy lady is doing. How far off of a rocker has she gone?
You come home and she's converted the dishwasher into a glass blowing thing.
Yep. Oh, hey.
Making lawn ornaments.
And Grandpa's like, I gotta get her a cricket. I
No,
gotta
the
keep her
only
hands
thing-
busy doing something.
The only thing the big disconnect is that nobody's at that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at you. That house is meant to be packed,
with
and dirty
grandchildren.
Yeah.
And,
and screaming and yelling and a couple crying.
yeah,
Yeah.
some
At
crying,
least once
some
or twice.
fighting.
Think of how patient Grandma's gonna be when all these grandkids are back in the house fighting each other. She's gonna sit
She
back and
won't
be
yell.
like, keep going. It's been a while.
Like after your kids come, we don't clean up for a day or so. Just want to sit in it.
So imagine one of the doctors I work with, they just had a grandbaby and they had to see the grandbaby at a park from a distance, couldn't hold their first grandchild.
Oh,
I don't like that story at
So
all.
yeah.
that's tough.
It's so crazy. So like when I was in treatment, how like when you're when there's certain situations like when you're drunk and something like at a party extreme happens, like something in your brain shifts and you sober up.
Fight or flight.
Yeah.
In treatment, everybody who was worried about their addiction and what they were going to do on the outside, when the team leaders showed up for our units and said all of these things that were happening and how we weren't going to be able to have visitors and da-da-da-da, you saw something snapped and they all went, oh, nope, I need to be with my family then. Like it wasn't,
Really?
and you could tell there was no shred of like, I'm getting out to use or I'm scared to get out. They were like, this needs to be done. I know for sure. And so it created this weird, like almost a sobriety plan that we couldn't avoid and had to confront. And so the people that left that day, like it just shifted. You could see it in everybody's eyes. And I've stayed in contact with most of those people and haven't had, I mean, they have, we'll all have cravings forever, but nobody has touched anything.
Wow.
Because they just have to deal with the stuff that they have to deal with.
Because it's too immense.
There's one guy that manages a fitness facility, one of the largest in, and he's the only employee that is allowed to go in there. And so all the employees got furloughed except for him. So he goes in this
Empty.
huge basketball court, Olympic swimming pool, like massive fitness facility all by himself and has to do rounds to make sure that there's no issues. And it's so
things
bizarre.
are on fire.
But that's one thing that like he has to do it. There's an unavoidable, it's just super weird. So having to deal with something that you've never dealt with before has kept people out of that. And then learning in the last, week that even when the ban gets lifted, you're still 7 to 8 months at least of still having to be
Social
wildly
distancing
careful
I think there's going to be 6 feet. There's going to be social distancing no matter what happens. So if restaurants open up, that's going to have to be built in.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think they're going to open schools.
I don't think so either.
But so when they lift it, it's going to be a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
We're all going to be different.
I heard this comic on his podcast say, I can't wait to hear somebody say, can I get you another Pepsi? Like those little things.
Yeah.
It's so weird to think of like all of the antisocial people. Like
I love this. You're looking at the wrong person.
But there's people. Well, but it hurts because we have kids who can't play with other kids.
That's where it's hard. Is kids, them not being able to be like, but I want to play with so and so, and they can see them across the street. That's where it's hard. In school, missing their friends at school.
Yeah, and
I'm fine.
You have parents who are like, well, no, kids have been affected, so they let kids play with other kids,
which isn't true. Kids have been affected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is. You'll look back on this. Your kids will look back on this.
Yeah.
This
I
is
remember.
a once in a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
This
The
is-
corona is what Layla calls it.
It will be. This will be the biggest thing they face.
I wonder if
I hope.
But I
I wonder
so
if
too.
Corona will change its name, because there are companies that have had to do stuff like that.
They're not. I've heard they're not selling. They pulled beer off the market just because of the name.
Wow.
They chose to do that.
That's so wild.
I don't know if it's so people wouldn't treat it lightly and
Make jokes about it and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I
People
think
are dying.
because before it came to the United States, people were taking pictures with
Mhm.
cases of corona and like, I've got the corona. And yeah.
Oh man, that was another crazy thing. I saw a clip because the ban went into place right at spring break.
Probably around spring
Like,
yeah,
break
close to it,
times.
huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And thousands of people or hundreds of people still went to Florida.
yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't believe it. Like,
Well, that's like so South Dakota didn't even put in any restrictions, and then that plant that had all
Yep.
those people infected,
what? I didn't
Yeah.
hear about that.
Yeah, pork processing plant.
it's gonna be closed indefinitely. They said,
I know.
but I don't know.
There's
Hundreds of it.
3,700 people that work there, and I think they had like 400 cases.
Jeez.
And the city had to come in and say, you can't operate this. You can't do this anymore. I mean, that's why we're doing all that unbelievable, extraordinary stuff we're doing, so that if you can't control what somebody does outside, but inside you can keep them from spreading it to somebody else, and you can make them leave.
So bananas.
So they produce 5% of all the pork in the country.
Whoa.
Wow.
Right there.
Holy smokes.
Good thing you don't eat a lot of pork. Huh?
Yeah. It's because I'm Jewish.
Dad says you don't think ham is pork.
What?
Who? Why?
So when you were coming over for Easter dinner, I said,
Why did Grandma look at me?
Chris doesn't eat pork. He goes, oh, he doesn't think ham is pork.
That's funny. No, I just made an exception. I just can't eat a bunch of it.
Yeah.
If I eat a bunch of it, then I get super sick.
It's in his head, but it's okay. I'm just teasing.
It doesn't matter. If your brain thinks that you're going
I
to get
get it.
sick and
Then
you
you're
get
sick.
It happens,
Okay.
you know? Also, your fault. Looking at you, Mom. Your genetics program our brain to go, hey, we're
sick
putting on
all
a
the
play. And that play is... what's
I'm sick.
aversion to pork? We have an aversion to pork. Oh no! Here
Milk.
comes a brat. Yeah,
Yeah, you eat brats like crazy.
yeah. There you go. So funny. I have OCD. As long as I can be in denial about certain things, then my brain will
That's
go
really
along for
good.
the ride.
There's enough filler in broth.
That's really
probably,
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Compared to pork, you probably
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
away with that.
It's like pork chops. Anything with pork in the name, he's like, ooh, but ham.
Pork rinds. Could you eat a pork rind?
This is disgusting.
They are disgusting.
Ugh. What are you
Porky
from?
pig?
You from Milwaukee? Pork rinds? Ugh.
God eats them. I used to.
Yeah. Let's get back to you guys' upbringing.
Grew up in Emmett.
Grew up in Emmett. When you moved to Idaho,
Did you really grow up in Emmett? I was going to say, what? It is interesting, the story of how you... Okay.
so how many years were you in Emmett for?
Like months.
So not even a year.
No, not even a year. I take it back. Right at a year. I graduated from high school and then drove my car to Emmett. No, sold my car and bought a plane ticket to Emmett.
Oh, really?
Sold his car to Wally.
But I didn't graduate from high school until like August.
You want to tip your microphone back to them? It did. That's exactly
Like
where I was.
this?
Yeah, it had just.
You should be a
gotten little wonky.
sportscaster.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts on LeBron James?
Awesome talent.
Getting drafted to the Toronto Vikings.
It's going to be a game
What's life
changer.
like without SportsCenter at nighttime when you go to bed?
That's a really good question. We watch Community, which we've never seen before.
What does SportsCenter even do now?
I don't know. I haven't even turned it on.
I know. My dad said the...
Yes, they do. They do documentaries.
Retro stuff.
There's a
And they
10
play
part.
like Yes, that I do want to see that.
That looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jordan's been holding out. He hasn't wanted to do one.
I do want to see that one. That'll be good.
And
I haven't watched any
So what, you
sports,
fall asleep
anything.
to Community now?
No. We
Bob's
fall
Burgers.
asleep to Bob's Burgers or Peppa Pig sometimes.
Peppa Pig.
Yeah, we fall asleep to We Bare Bears. That's our sleepy time show. So when you hear the beginning of it, if
That
we're
is
watching it
good,
during the day,
good.
you're like, you know how you get like conditioned to be like, oh wait, no.
I am so glad somebody else falls. I don't want to fall asleep to anything but Peppa Pig. That's a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good show to fall asleep to.
it is.
Yeah. I like how they call their dad fat all the time.
Daddy.
Daddy.
Your belly is too big. I've got a big tummy.
So funny how they do that stuff.
There is one creepy episode of We Bare Bears where there's like mini doll bears that attack.
That's not
Don't
good
fall
to see.
asleep to that one. I was like,
Those are Charlie's scary stories.
Bob's Burgers is just I'm.
I know. Such
I
a
don't
good
know.
show.
It is.
Yeah.
Academy
Everything-
Award-winning.
Is it?
There are Academy
the songs that
Award-winning
they do.
So
actors
funny.
that
Oh, are there?
play voices on that
When
show.
you
Yes,
guys
there are.
stuck in the bathroom, the music from that was phenomenal.
I like the episode where Bob gets stuck in the
wall.
In the wall.
Yeah.
Just watch that.
Yeah.
And he
that's a
wants
good-
to stay there.
Yeah. Just
And
leave
he-
me.
And he calls Teddy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to charge you. That's okay. I don't mind if you charge me. Just leave me here, Teddy.
You know I got to make a living too, Bob.
Yeah.
Do you want me to invoice you now? Because I got to go to my truck if I don't gotta get the invoice.
Yeah, that's super funny. Okay,
Yes.
back to so you're in Emmett for a year. So then was that when you went on your mission?
Mm-hmm. Right after the end of that. Yep.
Okay, had you visited Idaho before?
Yeah.
Going. Okay,
Oh yeah. I had visited maybe twice.
and that was because who was the family member that was out in Idaho?
Uncle Ron.
Uncle Ron. Okay. I can never remember that
So my mom moved out there. She's going to start her whole new life. She moves out there.
But Grandpa and
I went out there because I'm like,
Calvin
okay,
were there too.
I'll go to high school out there. And I just lasted like a month, and I just said, I can't do it. So I went back. Then I came to visit one other time.
Was it because people out there
That
didn't
must
have
have been.
toilets inside?
No, I was just
They
a
did it in
sissy.
Everett. It's not in Montour.
I just missed my home too much.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, it had to have been so different.
it was unbelievably different. Yep. So
Yeah.
different.
Nobody swears.
Oh, they swear.
No, people swear.
Not like, come on, not like home.
No.
You missed the honking, didn't you?
I just missed everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the same reason why Sean went back to finish high school in Oregon. Is you just miss the people that you grew up with.
Yeah,
Like,
it was home. So
They
I
stay
couldn't have made
friends
it.
from the time they were in kindergarten.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, you go to school with the same people.
And you stay connected with them.
They're family.
That's so interesting. More so, like, I can't think of anybody.
So I came a couple times, and one of those times must have been when I ate at your restaurant. Can't remember when that was, but
And your eyes locked, and that was it.
And you were like, that lady looks awfully Hispanic for this area of.
So it's so
doesn't
funny
speak with
to
an
think
accent.
of New York as being so tight, you know,
Yeah.
because you think of New Yorkers as being rough and
yeah, but think of like Wally and Gossett. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
they're just
they're so different, but
there's a million people like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I was too big of a sissy.
You know what's funny? Like with people when they say stuff like that, Jerry, he's a heroin addict. What are you gonna do? Like
Yeah.
they still say it in a way that like, yeah, you think I'm gonna forget about him? Come on. He stole my TV once.
Yes.
One TV. I've known him since I was 5 years old. What's
Yeah.
one
Weird.
TV?
yeah, it's a culture. It's a culture thing.
So yeah,
Okay. Why not take the family to New York then? Like when you came back and you two had said that you were going to be together, why didn't you take us to New York?
because the University of Idaho tuition was $500 a semester. That was the reason. I think. Yeah, that was the reason. I
My
couldn't go
sister
to.
went to University of Idaho.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yep.
So that's really the only reason?
money.
That's so
I
funny.
knew I was going to school there.
That's
Yep.
so funny.
That's it.
You and Sean are so much alike in that way then. Because Sean didn't want to stay in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep.
But you end up
For school, it was cheaper.
For school it was cheaper.
But then once you live in Idaho for a while, I really did not like Idaho. But
You didn't like Emmett.
I didn't like Emmett. But it's different. Idaho's
Moscow's
beautiful, and
Gorgeous
yeah.
and
I loved it. I loved it.
very diverse in a college
moved
town.
back
Do you
there.
remember much about Moscow?
You were
I don't
probably
remember anything
three.
about Moscow.
You were probably 3 when we moved.
The only thing I remember about Moscow is no. See, I always think it's Moscow, but it's Beaverton, that one black neighbor that we have.
Oh yeah.
had.
Well, we were living in Moscow, and then did that for the summer, and then went back to
Went back to
Moscow.
Moscow.
Ah, okay. So that's the only memory I have is walking in through a sliding glass door and playing with Ninja Turtles and seeing that dude. And for some reason, I always associated him with the Giving Tree.
Because he's bald.
I don't know.
Carl Smith
Yeah,
from the Crazy Eights.
yeah.
He's a drummer.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
He
He's a
really was a part of the
musician.
Crazy Eights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Or at least I didn't remember that. That's
how we
freaking
know.
awesome.
He came and stayed with us in Moscow after we went back.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay, I remember.
Okay. So yeah.
So that's why you stayed in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And then Oregon, did Oregon feel like a comparable version of Idaho?
Well, that was just where I was offered my first job.
Okay.
So that's the only reason.
I lived in
But Mom loved
Lake Oswego after high school.
Mom loved it.
I went to secretary school for a little bit, and then I worked right downtown Portland.
They have a school for lifting pens and pushing papers? I didn't know that.
They did back then.
Boise Secretarial School.
Interesting.
Wow. Do they give you 0.78% of a piece of paper just to get you?
Used to making.
It was so boring. I didn't make it through it, but it did get me a
I
job
could imagine.
at the Kenneth I. Tobey Insurance.
Was there an elective class for spreading rumors?
Chewing gum, chomping gum.
Tapping your acrylic nails on a desk?
So we were excited to be moving there, just because Mom had a really good
We went on our
experience with
honeymoon
Portland.
to Portland.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
just out of the blue.
Climbed Multnomah Falls. We were climbing up, and this family they had 3 little girls, like little girls. They were climbing up Multnomah Falls, and we helped carry the kids up and down.
That's
So
really funny.
funny.
And you didn't bring your own child with.
We didn't have. Oh yeah, he was.
Oh, you had a child.
He was with Grandma Duke.
Wait a second.
I know.
That was really
that's-
hard. That was the first time I left Sean with somebody I didn't know that well.
Yeah. But it felt kind of good to leave him
Is
behind.
that why you don't want us leaving our children with people you don't know very well? Because you know what it feels
Cried.
like?
It was awful.
Kind of like that time you stole my baby when we were in Rochester and I cried.
And you were gonna punch me? Remember that?
I
You
remember
just-
that.
What'd she do?
I still talk
Tell
about
me
that.
that story.
Chris is like, I'm going to surprise Kim and send the kids away. And Layla was little and a baby.
That's
and I was
right.
like, the heck you are taking my
I
baby.
do remember that.
It was Layla.
Yeah, it was Layla.
I will tell you that Grandma was like,
Yeah.
because she knew what it's like.
Yeah, 'cause Mom was like, "You sure she's going to be okay?" And I was
Yes.
like, "No, that's why I'm not telling her until kids are in the car."
Yeah,
And now I'm like,
I do remember that.
Take them. You're a better teacher than I am.
Take him.
In all of so the reason why I'm asking that is because so many people say things like, "Well, if you don't like it there, why don't you just move?" And they don't understand how hard it is to move. And you guys did it so many times. It feels like such a nightmare to even to think about moving out of a neighborhood into another neighborhood.
That's
Like-
funny. Me and Grandpa were just talking about
We just
that.
were talking
Oh,
about
really?
it.
Yeah, about how much I like this house in the neighborhood, and I can't you hear. I have a friend that's looking at new houses, and I'm like, man, those are beautiful houses and beautiful kitchens. And I'm like, well, I like my house, and I like how much I pay for my mortgage, and the neighborhood's nice.
But it's funny because I hate the weather is
I know,
the worst. The mosquitoes. There's so many things that I hate about this state.
but it's property taxes.
And
how
if you
cheap it
complain
is.
about anything, people say, "Well, why don't you move?" And that whole uprooting process,
That's a big deal.
like, did you what because the move here was the worst one, right?
Yep.
I mean, because we've lived in 3 different states.
Idaho, Washington, Oregon.
Oh, 4 different states.
Mm-hmm.
We did like a summer in New York or something.
You did a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
summers
Yep.
in New York.
So, but like, yeah, that actual uprooting process is just.
Yeah, coming here was the worst, and I apologize for that.
Oh, I mean,
I'm serious. I
it
feel
was
really
way
bad
worse
for that.
for you guys than it was for.
No, it wasn't. It was worse for you.
I mean, yeah, I hated it.
I do. I know that. I recognize that. I do feel really bad about that. We felt really strongly that good was going to come out of it.
And now you have a lake house and 2 boats and an outdoor cat.
I think it did. First of all, the place where I worked went out of business, right?
Right. Yeah. I tell people that all the time. Anytime somebody asks me about how we ended up here, I always talk about how you kind of saw something coming and.
And the choices were going to be International Falls or Alabama.
Oh,
Man.
So we took destiny in our own hands and moved to Becker.
do you have,
There was
and
more
there's
to
Becker
it,
Furniture
though.
World
There's Becker Furniture World. Was it here when we
And the
moved
community
here?
center, yeah.
Yeah.
Community Center
and the
was here.
community center. Yeah.
That was one of the big draws.
Yeah.
was
When I would
community
tell
center.
people about Becker before, like snowboarders and stuff, they'd always say, "Oh, Becker Furniture World." Now no one has any idea where it is.
I'm gonna tell you a funny story that I haven't told you, but I've been meaning to tell you. We hired this knucklehead from Annandale to come put our dock in the water. He shows up. He's probably 30 something. Just
Okay.
a big dude, just
yeah.
big happy guy with his overalls on. Another
Wasn't
another
big.
dude, same thing, and then 2 kids
They have
helping
overalls.
him. Yep,
Oh, good for them.
Well,
they're
Waiters.
Oh,
waiters.
yeah.
So they're putting our dock in. It weighs 10 million pounds, and they're just wrestling it around. Where you moved from? I told him Becker. He goes, Becker, you guys used to beat us at football all the time. So I said, what year did you graduate? 2004, I think he said.
Oh, okay.
from where was he?
So he's from Annandale. He goes, I wrestled a guy from Becker. I walked down on the mountain. I go, that's a man.
Was it Joe?
It was Mike Hopkins. Then he said, the next time I wrestled him, he had lost like 70 pounds.
Yeah.
So we talked about Mike Hopkins.
That's so
That's funny.
It's really funny.
Small world.
What a monster.
That's what he
It's
said.
funny that Minnesotans talk a lot about wrestling too, because when I tell people, "Oh, I'm from Malacca," oh, your wrestling team's
Wrestling.
real great.
That's where he went. He went to football and then to wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Caranda.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about John Caranda.
Yeah. Coranda's
But it was-
come up a lot.
But it was Mike Hopkins that he really wanted to talk about. He said,
Yeah.
so what is Mike doing now? I said, he was a good friend of ours. We used to feed him all the time.
Yeah. He's
I said-
firefighter.
Said he's a firefighter now. He's
Lives in Florida?
beautiful. He looks beautiful. Married a crazy Cuban woman.
got divorced from a Cuban woman.
Yeah, they got divorced.
Darn it.
Whatever. He still lives in Florida. He's killing it.
So he thought that was really funny.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And I'm not trying to like brush off divorce. Obviously, that sucks. But Mike's good people.
Yep. So
He will
thought that was really
survive.
funny.
Man, we really jumped all over the place
sorry.
just then.
Yeah, we just went to Mike Hopkins.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so yeah, that whole uprooting thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you make that process feasible?
Ooh.
Like, if you're gonna go to another state, what do you got to do?
Be patient. Expect that it's going to be difficult. And so that doesn't mean things are bad. That doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. Things are just going to be difficult. And I wish I hadn't worked so much. I wish I had been home a little more often so you guys could have talked about what things were going on.
It's a new job, and you worry about making a good impression. And
Yeah.
they took a risk on us and paid for us to move. And
They hadn't done stuff like that before.
Wow. And now
Right.
look at you.
So the main thing is, though, that we bought that little mini 4-wheeler. So you guys had
went
to,
through 5 dogs.
Through 5 dogs. I don't know.
I
can't goat. even
remember.
What would you say?
Well, that's the thing that I have so many like friends, from rollerblading and snowboarding and stuff that are out of state, that whenever they see us complain about
They say, "Why don't you
whatever's
just
going
move?"
on, yeah, it's like, why don't you guys just get out of there? And it's like with kids, you don't understand that you need to have like 6 months of living set aside for sure, and that's if you're going to do it.
Except young kids,
Yeah.
they adapt.
But then you got to think like school district wise. Might go
Yes.
somewhere with Becker's got a
Yeah.
good school district. Family.
And we did feel good about that. Becker had a better school district. We weren't near family anyway in Oregon.
Yeah.
So we did have some good friends.
But yeah, to me it seems impossible, really. Like I'll talk about it.
chore.
Like we want to. I would love to live in Anaheim.
Yep.
I think that would be
Amen.
so freaking cool.
In a castle.
In a castle.
On Disneyland property. That's where I want to live.
Near the
Being
beach.
able to eat not FDA approved street tacos.
Oh, every day, all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
But-
Feasible? Never.
Exactly. Like
I looked at what nursing wages are out there, and it's comparable to here.
Really?
But living expenses is significantly
Like-
cheaper here.
5 times more.
Yeah.
So you'd have, That's another
So
thing.
I would have to work.
We knew financially
constantly.
it was going to be okay, right? Because homes here were about what they were in Oregon when we moved. They've gone
Way
a
up.
whole-
Yeah.
But like if you guys moved to Anaheim to get a house like this, it'd be
$2 million.
$800,000, $700,000,
Yeah.
$900,000.
Yep. Have to live in an apartment.
well, and I think of stuff like this. Like I hate New York for a lot of reasons. But if I'm there by myself, I don't really care
Yeah.
about a lot of
Yep.
things. I'm willing to go through a lot. It's when I think about what my kids are going through, what Kim is going through, making sure that people are safe, because I know what's out there. So I am always thinking like, you don't understand. If we go there, it's so much easier if we just do this. So like my thing for not uprooting too is like to think in Anaheim, I have no idea what the
Crime rates
like,
are.
Yeah.
crime
Yep.
rates. Like I know what driving is like, and I know that's scary enough. What do you?
No, you're right.
It's a magical place, but
Driving out there is terrible.
I do know we felt like it was a positive. We thought school district would be better here than the one in Oregon. We thought just the culture was better here than the culture in Oregon too. So we felt excited about that part of it. I wasn't worried or scared about that. I was scared about the culture shock
Yeah.
because it's a different culture, right?
Oh, absolutely.
and they talk like idiots here.
Yeah. They didn't find out about Lincoln
Could you
Park.
imagine if you would have went to Alabama? I need to go get my buggy at the store.
Alabama was not good.
Ugh.
I had worked there a couple times. We would have done something different. It wouldn't have been good for anybody.
Had to go
You
there
guys
for
would have probably had a
business.
lot
You
of
didn't
grandkids,
work
though.
work.
Oof. Yes.
I hope not. Ugh. But,
Sean would have never come back.
No, Sean
No.
wouldn't have gone down there.
Nuh-uh.
but yeah, I think about that, and I wonder if you like that feeling is so. There's so many things that I'm willing to do if it's just me, but when it
Yeah,
comes to like
yes.
I like the whole me hating water thing. I don't care about a
Yep.
lake. I don't care about swimming pools and stuff. It's thinking about
Mm-hmm.
I can't get in the right headspace to properly like enjoy something really if I know that there's a chance that something bad could happen.
That's why you drop your kids off and then leave.
Exactly, that whole denial thing. I just pretend that nothing's
Yep.
happening.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I get it.
my thing.
That makes
You
sense.
probably should have had more boys, then you would lose that sense of fear.
Layla's pretty manly. She's definitely going to kick the shit out of a lot of kids.
You think?
Oh yeah.
All of her boyfriends are going to walk crying out of your house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. She's gonna,
Yeah.
She ain't gonna hold back. She'll tell them exactly why she's breaking up with them.
Yeah.
There's no ghosting going on with Layla. She's
L-
gonna
L-
be straight up.
Layla
It
is-
won't be. She will not be getting her friend to tell her boyfriend why she's breaking
No.
up. It'll be,
She'll-
here, out of the way, let me tell him.
She'll be like, "You come here, face to face, no text, no phone call. It's gonna happen in person, so she can see him cry."
she's going to be the one that gets tased on the lawn
No.
for domestically assaulting her boyfriend.
No. I don't
she
think she'll
won't.
do that. She'll hurt him with words.
Well, also her fists. 'Cause
No.
Whatever works. She's just going to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, and I mean, if you don't want to talk about this stuff, then we'll just cut it out.
No.
The mental health stuff with both of your families. When did you guys start to become aware of like actual depression? Because a friend and I were talking about how it wasn't uncommon back in the day for like a stay-at-home mom to just disappear for 2 weeks, and somebody would say, "Oh, mom went on a vacation," or "Mom," like when really she was at like a mental treatment facility. So like people would keep all of that stuff out of their mouths, and
I would say that's accurate. Nobody would. That was not spoken of at all. I mean, all of those stereotypes of "suck it up." That was the only conversation around it.
Could be worse. Other people have it worse than you. You're fine. Get over it.
And so I never really knew. It hasn't been that long that depression. It's gotten in everyone's mind that depression is an illness, just like kidney failure is, or kidney stones, or. So I don't know. I would imagine Grandma's family is just riddled with mental illness.
Like, when did it stop being uncomfortable?
Grandma,
like recently.
He had to get over it because I have depression.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously.
Just suck it up and get over it.
When I told him I was on medication, he goes, "Well, when you have these episodes, here's what you need to do."
No, I did not.
Yeah.
That's
terrible.
People do that all the time. I had an actual the Dr. Meany. Like
Google him.
Is he
Google
bad?
Dr. Meany.
What was he? A psychiatrist?
He was a psychiatrist.
Yeah, that dude.
Google him.
Did he say "suck it up"?
Basically, like for my back pain, he was like, "Oh, you know what I do? I just push up on this table." And I was like, "Oh yeah, guy."
Again, listeners and viewers, Google him. He's
So-
not credible at all.
Really?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So that's been recent. So think of all the billions of people that have suffered. So not just a disease, but then suffered shame and a
My dad still
refusal
doesn't
to
believe
be-
it.
I know.
He
I
still
know there
does
are
not,
people.
does not
My
believe
mother
it's a
does
thing.
not. Right? People have tried to tell her, "Take pills for depression, you'll feel better."
I'm not depressed.
I'm just.
No, my dad. No. But it's he's waivers in it. Like, but he strongly believes mentally ill people do not belong in jails. It's a inappropriate place for them. They're not getting treated the way they should. They should be in state hospitals again, which they've closed a lot of them. But then at the same time, but you're not really depressed. Kind of get over it. And maybe it's changing more. He's learning and seeing, but
It's just, so we talked about last night how when somebody doesn't drink, like when you offer somebody a drink and
which
they
is
say
interesting.
no.
We can talk about you guys, like when you would hang out with your friends that would drink, and before they were your friends and they'd offer you, and you'd say, "No, I don't drink." Did they act weird towards you guys, or no?
Not really.
No.
And see, I was going to say, I think that leads into this, which is nobody knows what to do with that. Because it's one of two things. You're either an alcoholic or pregnant.
Because we talked about when we would hang out with our friends, and one of them,
They would push.
he can't drink for numerous reasons.
Yep.
And we'd all like be awkward around him if we were all having a beer, and he didn't care. He was just sitting there enjoying being around people.
And it's not that we think that person's weird. It's just easier to not confront it on any level. And so what that looks like is you retract.
Think of Wally.
Yeah.
Right? I've been surrounded my whole life by him. No. It's just I've never been around a ton of people that question you. Oh. One guy pushed me once, and that was on a business trip in Austria. The guy kept pushing.
Yeah.
Saying, "What do you think you're better?" In German.
Oh, that's funny.
But everybody else, I think that's super acceptable now. You just say, "No, I don't drink."
Well, and I think
Done.
if you're...
It's interesting because there's comedians too that I would think would drink, and they will open like, "I just choose not to drink. I have family genetics of someone being an addict, so I just choose not to drink."
Done.
And it's like, what, a comedian that doesn't drink? And Chris D'Elia, the guy who, where if you watch the Netflix special, No Pain by Chris D'Elia, me and Chris were on it. But he,
like you can see
I
it.
watch
Wait,
him.
go
and
back. You're on it.
Yeah, you can see us.
Like you can see us.
I circled us and sent the picture to you guys. But I thought for sure he did drugs and drank. Nope, never. He just doesn't. Why? He just chooses not to.
There's
No history. He's never been in treatment. He's never.
He just chooses not to.
He chooses just not to do those things ever. Which you watch him on stage and you're like, how is he not? But no, he can be funny without doing that.
But like
He
his
says-
family history wasn't.
Nope. He had a great upbringing. His family was great. Are you going to talk about the bit? You can do the bit.
I was just
Do the
going to
bit.
say the thing where somebody says, you know, hey, what do you want to drink? And he goes, I don't drink. Never? Never. 0? That's the same as never.
He talking about how great his parents were and like how open they were. Like, if you choose to do drugs, like just, whatever. And he's like, because my parents weren't like, you can't do that. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what's the fun in
No, he
doing
goes, I want you to tell me the rule to break so I can break them. What are you guys saying?
Yep.
It's very good.
it? Yeah. But it's
think
good
there's a
hearing
lot.
those things where you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
But so I think I think that parallel goes back to like the mental health stuff is it's just easier to not deal with it.
Yeah.
And like in the little ways that it does affect people, they want the quick answer. So like in the treatment facility, we weren't allowed to pat somebody on the back or hand them a tissue box if they became emotional, because what that's really saying is you're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to make you feel better so you're not crying
Nice.
and not upset.
So
They
do
wanted
this for
people-
me.
Yeah. So it's a weird thing that you don't even think about, but we're always looking for some kind of answer to, like when a kid falls and scrapes their knee. Oh, you're okay. You're fine. Because watching them cry for 5 minutes is really uncomfortable. And
wow, that's very.
I know.
Yes, and the better
Wow.
response would be, "Oh man, that hurts, doesn't it?"
Yeah.
And then you push him back down.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Go do it again. That's what my mom
Oh,
would
you
say.
skin your knee. Let me see your other knee. Cacao!
You think that hurts? I'm going to make you hurt more.
Let me see your pinky.
Wow, you're very knowledgeable today.
Yeah, I
Must be all
know.
that creatine you're taking in.
Yeah, dude, creatine. I'm getting so swole. I'm just trying to get
Because I get when like my friends cry and you do get that uncomfortable feeling. You're just like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just gonna hug you and hopefully you'll.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's something that you don't think
Oh.
about. It's what you're really saying is, I this needs to work so that you stop doing that.
Because
thing.
it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because you don't, and it's not always that you want them to stop. You hate that they're feeling that way. A lot of people, but some people it's just that uncomfortability. And if you're not a touchy-feely person, it's in those words when you have this, then you need to do this. Because I know when I get upset, which is not the same as having an anxiety attack or anything like
Yes.
that, but
Yeah.
people will do that stuff. So you guys, though, come from families where family was really important in the way that like for you, there was a lot of like, how do you keep everybody connected because things had separated, right? You've got people in New York, you've got people in Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, who's going to, stay, I don't know, like active in the church. And it seemed like there was a lot going on your end, plus Eastern culture being family is everything. And then for you, being that you had to shit outside for 20 years,
10.
and that you
10
guys had to
12.
farm and kill and trap and all that stuff. If you guys have ever seen the Oregon Trail game, that's basically what my mom
Lived.
lived in.
She didn't get dysentery
She
though.
die of dysentery.
She did have diverticulitis, though.
We swam in the sewage dishes, the drainage dishes.
Ugh. What's it like living with shingles?
I don't think you're gonna get COVID after swimming
I
in.
know.
Yeah.
I should
Do
tell
you have
them.
superpowers?
I should.
Pull that microphone down a little more. Keep sinking back.
Okay, go on. What's besides pooping in a?
But so having so much that your families were dealing with, there was no time for
Sounds like a growling dog.
yeah, they fight over bones and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no time for the emotional part of it. There's no time for emotions. We've got all this other stuff going on. So like, when did you start to see, like, you know, you started having your own families and those things, and you get that outward look on your family, and you go, oh wow,
I
can't believe I come from this.
So my family, I think you read it differently. My family, I would say nobody cared about anything.
There's no
Nobody cared about anything.
When did that happen, though?
always.
Yeah. I mean, we love each other. I'm just saying I could care less. Nobody cared about
That's
whether
interesting.
you went to church or whether that was.
Because by the time we got introduced, and like the memories that I have, phone calls all the time, talking to all of the uncles, and
Yeah.
That's
and
the
they were
staying
always
connected part, but still the now.
well, but they would ask if we're going to church. They would ask if we're doing good in school. They would like,
So you know your Uncle Earl.
uh-huh.
Can you see him now asking you, "Are you going to church? You going to school?"
Well, but yeah, they
Okay.
would like. So when we were kids, at least. Now, I don't think so.
It's the same thing. He hasn't changed a bit. So when he was asking you if you were going to church, then
There was something behind it, but it
It's
wasn't
just so
concern.
interesting.
It was more.
So yeah,
The
from my
novelty of it.
perspective, they seem to want us to listen to mom and dad, make sure that we're doing the things that we need to be doing, and yeah, that whole connective thing. So from our perspective, that's what it looked like.
okay, good, interesting.
And they would treat us like their kids too.
So we're guys. We don't really like. I don't know how to say it. Maybe mom has a better perspective because she sees it from the outside. I love my brothers. I trust them all over the place. Do we really care? Like, your family cares how the other one's behaving.
Well, nobody has like
Nobody
instant
cares.
answers for somebody else's behavior or whatever. They're not always into your business.
Yeah, they don't care
They don't
about your
care enough
business.
Yeah.
They care about you, but they don't get involved into the
Intricate.
intricacies.
It's okay.
Intricacies of your life.
My mom graduated from middle school 5 years ago.
Your mom went to college.
Ooh.
Snap.
She went to secretary school.
Oh my god.
That's why she likes doing so many
Is
crafts.
this Mad Men?
That's why and it took her this long to get a cricket.
Is that why you pretend to hold cigarettes? They teach you that in secretary school? Because when you were in secretary school, you
You're
could
gonna make
still
me pee
smoke
my
in the
pants.
office, right?
That's enough.
I can't believe you told us that. We're going to use that forever now.
Like, I never went to a graduation of mine or anybody's. You know what I mean?
Really?
Never. Not even close. My brothers would never show up at a birthday, a graduation.
That's so interesting. And then you look at your sons where they have to be there for everyone's everything.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm really proud
Wow.
of them
And
for
I
that.
think, but
very proud
that's
of
so
them for that.
that's so ironic because they kind of made it look like that's what we need to do.
Yes. Yes. That is very fascinating. Yep.
Wow.
Why?
wonder why
So
that is.
where did that come from?
They're
All of you
smart
guys-
enough to know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, but if you didn't have that as an example, why? You guys all collectively did that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. On our own.
Yeah. Huh.
We didn't celebrate anything big in our family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have these boys where they'll drop anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm really, really proud of you for that.
Like I want an
but that's
elliptical,
your
and Matt
fault.
and Sean will drop everything and deliver me a elliptical
That's-
without even questioning it.
That's your guys' fault.
So my family would do that. They would deliver it. They'd go, "What the freak you want? Stupid
Yeah.
here." Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't-
Yeah.
So truth is, my mother moved to Idaho. I stayed in New York. She took my two younger brothers with her. So I didn't live with them from the time they were however old. 10, 12.
That's
Yeah,
that's
very strange.
Super. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Very
now,
strange.
your side of the family,
I don't know why you always want to go there.
Let's go there. Go there.
Because when I was in treatment, they were like, genetically speaking,
Whose fault is
I'm
it?
screwed.
which parent should we blame more?
Both.
And I
Did
was
you
like,
say, oh,
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are like an iceberg, in that you guys are the tip sticking out of the water, and your families are the rest of that massive iceberg.
we keep them under the water.
You're trying to drown them out.
I love you.
But like in that way, but like, yeah, I wouldn't know that about your family. I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have thought, and I don't think anybody would have guessed alcoholism or anything like that would be a part of either of your families because of the way that you guys are. You always like assume that, oh, the rest of their family must be just like that, or they must be a product of that. I think you got lucky with your mom, and I think you just got lucky. And, no, let's talk about. I think probably your dad, huh? There is a cowboy mentality. Like, if you're gonna be a handyman, you have to be able to talk to anybody, right? I would assume that right? Wasn't he going around fixing, like doing fixer-upper stuff?
Insulation, but he would do anything.
Yeah.
Put a roof on.
And if you're going to be like that, you have to be able to talk to anybody. Not that he enjoys those conversations, but he has to be able to conversate with those people. Did you ever, like, were you with him when he would do any of that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And would
Sure,
he...
you're asking me.
You look
he is a real... So he thrived on that.
Yeah,
he
he's
loved...
a very people person.
He loved talking to other people.
So that's what I'm saying is I'm trying to say, like, I think you're the reason why you two are similar in the way that you, like saying on your honeymoon that you helped carry kids up Multnomah Falls is a byproduct of taking care of like it's no problem. It's no problem to help out. It's no like being able to talk to people so easily has to come from something. And I think I'm assuming your dad was the one that was the person in that regard. Unless I'm crazy.
I think you're crazy.
I think you're crazy.
And both my parents are very personable people.
Yeah.
They used to get asked.
The no judgment thing. How about that?
The no judgment.
Yeah, because
Neither of them.
There was big time judgment going on in my house all the time.
Oh,
yeah, my dad could read somebody by the way they walked, and he'd have them pegged, and we would discuss people. Sorry, don't.
Well, he's dead, so
we would discuss people like he knew them from the get go.
huh?
But he was a very giving person, would give you anything. He would rather help somebody else out than help out our family. He was always doing things for other people. It was better for us to sacrifice than to have somebody else go without.
Okay.
So we were brought up, helping other people was huge.
Okay.
From both my parents, my grandparents even. Going way back, so...
I see. Well, why is my perception of you guys' family so skewed?
I don't know. We came from very, very different backgrounds. Very different.
Do you think that's why you guys are the way you are towards your children is because of what you grew up in? Like how your family unit is so, like the boys are so close.
We wanted that.
We also, I could tell that we didn't have the same rules that our cousins had. Like the way that
I think that's just our personality. I don't know that I just think it's our personality, right? Think of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just our personality.
So, Dad was really into everything you guys did. We were always doing things for the boys, throwing rocks, feeding ducks, riding bikes. He was very, very into that. That wasn't me. I came from...
So, you didn't have... So when did you start to notice like the sad part? Like when did the kids being content not feel like it was enough to kind of disperse this sadness that was in you? Does that make sense? Because that's like something that I've struggled with is you look at these beautiful kids and this beautiful family and you can't help it. Your sadness turns into a certain kind of resentment where you go, why am I a worse person for not being satisfied with this thing?
It's such a surprising, weird thing. I grew up.
Mom has said that to me 100 times.
Oh, really?
Why am I sad when I have no reason to be sad? I have everything in the world. Beautiful children.
I grew up very, very happy, always bubbly, always laughing. I got kicked out of Sunday school class a lot for laughing because I couldn't stop laughing. Always happy. And then when the depression hit, I had to do a lot of pretending. You know, I could go to functions and it was just like those commercials that you see where they have these masks on their faces.
Yeah.
And I just didn't find joy.
What did that sound like to you? Like when you would try to figure that out?
So I grew up believing in God and that, you know, if you did the right things that God would be with you. When that stopped happening, no matter what I did, I didn't know what to do. Mm. And then one time we were on our way home from church and I was yapping at Dad for something. I could hear myself yelling at him and I couldn't stop. So your dad he's
so
amazing.
Sexy.
He's the most amazing person that you'll ever meet in your life. I mean,
underneath all of that hair, underneath all 20 of those sweaters,
he's always polite. He's always considerate. He would never talk to me the way I talk to him.
Doesn't that make you so angry too?
Sometimes, but I can hear myself talking. I can see his countenance sinking, and me not being able to shut up. And I was noticing things like he was hiding in the basement. And I'd be yelling, "Hugh!" And he would come in and go, "What?" I'm like, "Why is he talking to me like that?" And so one day I just went to the doctor and said, "This is what's going on." He had me fill out a little piece of paper. Goes, "Yep, you're having anxiety and depression. Here's something to take." And immediately I felt better. And it usually takes 6 weeks for something to kick in. And that's when I went to the basement and told him I went to the doctor. I'm going to take a little white pill every day. And he said,
I said, "Can I come out now?"
Well, when you have these episodes, and I didn't know I was having episodes. I worked with Andrew Schmidt.
Right.
And when I told Nicole that, she goes, "Oh, I just thought you were mad at me all the time." So that's how it came out. That's when I've connected with my parents, that there had to have been something going on because they were mad all the time. My dad was mad all the time. My grandmother was mad all the time. And anyway, so
Kim, you know what she's talking about.
Things got better.
Well, I would get like that when I was on birth control. Chris had to sit me down at the table one night and go, "Can you hear yourself?" And you can. Mm-hmm. In your head, you're going, "I'm illogical. Why am I young? That's so stupid. Why am I mad?" You make up all these scenarios up here that make no sense.
Yep.
And it comes out and you're screaming and you're just like, and then the next day you're like, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense.
I remember one time saying, "What do you think you said?"
Really?
And then I cried and then I stopped taking birth control.
And now we have Landon.
I mean, he said things like that. Did you mean to say that like that?
Yeah.
And then you get angrier because you're like, I don't know. I didn't say it like that because you don't think you say it like that.
And it was, look, I love you. I would never say anything in a way to try and hurt you on purpose. I love you. And you just accept that sometimes I just don't say the right thing. But it was bigger than that. I even tried to go off of it. And that's when we had a big blow up and you guys tried to hand me Landon one time because you knew I was really upset. And even holding a grandbaby couldn't pull me out of it. Then I knew this was something that was going to be with me for life.
So then
it's a living hell.
Yeah. Did you start to like go back in history and look at events with your family and go, oh, we've all got this?
She just said that. She looked back on her dad and her...
No, I know
Just-
with your parents, but like
The fights that they used to have that were unreasonable. They could not come to a conclusion on.
But I mean, like your
stupid
brothers
wedding
and
dress
sisters, like going, what, like certain things. You're like, why are we arguing about this? Why is this so important? What's the real important thing?
Mm.
And it's because admitting that you have depression creates an isolation, and people are like, "Well, okay, well, I've got my family, everything's fine here," and it creates this weird kind of like scattering, almost. I don't know, or like huddling of like where our normal thing is
I
here.
think though they grew up in a different time where like you have depression, people get locked away in state hospitals, and
Well, but this is something that we were alive for and around for. Like we kind of started to note, like when we were here, there were phone calls that we would hear, and we'd think that somebody lived somewhere in there, and you guys would be like, no, they're over here now. And we're like, what happened? So there was like, just
What do you mean?
what are you talking?
like, you know what I mean? Like, does that making more sense where I'm going with that?
It's
Like,
pretty vague.
Pretty big, but I bet what you were listening to were
Was-
some family problems that other family members
Right.
were having
That didn't make sense,
that we don't have.
and trying to get that out. Yeah, there's a lot of things that happened that I didn't understand.
I don't know if it's necessarily mental illness either. People can just be certain ways without being depressed and anxious and have family conflict, not because of mental illness.
Yeah,
okay.
certainly not on my side of the family.
Well, with your side of the family,
We're just heroin addicts
well,
and drug addicts.
anxiety
Yeah,
is so massive, and nobody wanted to admit that the reason why they were using so much was to suppress all of that anxiety, the unknown stuff, the who is this coming into our lives now, and why are we in Idaho and they're in New York, and like PTSD of, you know, man, I can't imagine. Kids of divorce now, there's a lot of resources that are available, and it's pretty incredible.
yeah.
Even like 15 years ago, it still was pretty rough. Like things were better, but man, the friends that I had that still had that old school way of the families being split, and you make a decision, your dad lives in the same town, but you don't get to see him at all. Like,
Yeah,
I
know,
cannot.
That would be, yeah.
I cannot imagine dealing with that stuff. And
You'd move to a different town for sure.
yeah, I'm out of here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sometimes I move to a different town if I, can't stop pooping. This diarrhea is too bad. I'll see you later. About a week. Make that 2 weeks. I just, with like me processing all of my stuff makes me want to know more about my history and my family history and how people have been dealing with stuff, because I am being so open, and Kim too, being so open about the stuff that we've been through. It's like it helps us, but at the same time, I still have like a ton of questions as to.
Well, I would say that on my side of the family, there's a probably generational history of anxiety, deep anxiety. Like, I think my dad had some of that. It's probably why he drank. But his dad was an alcoholic too.
Granny Duke was not an alcoholic.
She was an alcoholic, but she panicked.
Yep.
So I think anxiety runs in my family. I've had that.
Can't sleep. Wake up in the middle of the
just
night.
disgusting, terrible. Having a heart attack. Completely, you've described it to me, and it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, you think you're dying, your heart races.
This is it.
Yep, this is it. It's that impending doom feeling.
Yeah.
Completely rational thoughts that are absolutely real. That's going to happen tomorrow morning when I wake up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think you might have some DNA in you that leads to that.
Yeah. Well, and I try to, the reason why I was kind of saying the way that like your family dynamic and the time, the decades of that stuff is I'm trying to process the lack of confronting those things with the real things that you guys were dealing with. When I bring
resources,
it up,
there just
I was just
wasn't
going to say,
the-
I think too, people are more
It was
open and there's more
ignorance.
resources.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, even medications, how many new medications come out all the time, resources, therapies, all the different
Yeah.
therapies they have. You can do it now by phone, on
yeah,
webcam.
no,
I mean,
I know what I was saying was, so that's why, like, when I was saying, are you realizing now that certain, like, when somebody was yelling at you for something that was really about something else.
Yep.
And when somebody was, questioning you for something, that's what I'm trying to figure out is how much of that stuff was pushed to the side and you're now able to not just like realize it, but able to help. Like, has admitting to depression helped any of your brothers and sisters? Like, do they know?
I think most of them are on something. I don't think my little sister is taking anything. I think she's the only one that doesn't.
See, that's what I was saying. You think I was being crazy.
I didn't say you.
I am crazy. But that's what I mean. Like, I think that there's not traditionally, genetically, a pattern of things. And I think that you guys had something that was slightly different than your siblings in the recognition of sincerity and passion.
Do you know what it is? Middle child.
All of us.
We're both middle children,
I am
too.
also the
I
middle
know.
child.
We talked about that.
Is that where my deep racism comes from too?
That Grandma MacArthur was a middle child. No, I don't think she was.
She was.
Was she?
My dad was the oldest.
Yeah, maybe that is it, because you do the
We're different from the rest of our families.
the wanting to be good enough, but
Just
learning to set an example for the, like, you're in the rip curl of, because you've got the two, like for me, the two older, wanting to be cool enough to be able to hang out with them, and then at the same time this nagging thing that you need to be able to set an example, or like they're not cool enough for me but I'm not cool enough for them, that whole tumultuous thing. Like,
But Matt
for
was
me, at
way
least,
too cool to hang out with you.
I can't believe I got to hang out with them as long as I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it didn't affect me that way being a middle
Yeah,
child.
me
I
either.
would just like, no, my brothers are way more awesome than me. They didn't take advantage of opportunities. That's all. And I felt like I had to. I got no choice. I had no fallback. They had skills that I didn't have, so.
I was middle
But
child,
yeah,
only girl, so I had it was really different.
Yeah, table the four corners of middle children.
Yeah. I think there's a different personality. I know that. Mom's different from the rest of her family by far.
I wonder
Like,
what
by
that
far.
is, that there's like, yeah, I think you really do see two sides of the parenting pattern changes with more children that come along.
Mm-hmm.
So so you get to watch that, and you're told that by your older siblings.
Yes.
Well, you have no idea what they were doing to me beforehand. So that whole, how am I gonna be with my children, and like, I don't know. It seems like the deep compassionate part, and not just like deep compassionate part, but the, like I said, sincerity. I feel like is such a running theme in our family. There's no bullshit in that regard. Like, when somebody has a
That's
problem,
good. I'm so glad you said that.
there's a deep, sincere, I don't think anybody thinks we're joking when we sincerely say that we want to help them with something or offer up something.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question. Like, I have friends that contact me, contact Kim. Same thing goes with Sean and Scott. Like, the friendships that we build are because we learned this thing of sincerity, how to convey that to people and let them know that you're capable of caring for somebody who's not a family member in a deep, meaningful way. I think you guys showed us that by allowing us to help complete strangers.
That's Mom.
And those things. But I never saw you shy away from that.
No. No, he was.
I saw you walk up to complete strangers to help with things all the time.
Wasn't there like accidents you would stop for and try and help people out, stuff like that?
But
Grandma
what are you
picked
going to
up
do? I mean,
See, that's the funny thing about you. Well, I'll say things and you'll go, yeah, what are you supposed to do? You know how many people go, oh, what if they're a murderer? What if they staged that? Like, there's so many things that people think the
a couple
worst.
Of times we haven't stopped because.
Yep, because we're scared.
But
on our honeymoon. Go ahead.
We picked up a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
On our honeymoon. A freaking hitchhiker.
You
I
wouldn't
don't
do
even
that
know what he
now.
did. He just hung out in the back
He
seat,
fell asleep in
slept.
the back seat. Yeah.
That's so funny.
You just
I
booted him
picked up
out
a hitchhiker
eventually.
one time.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I'm pretty sure he was from the jail, but I didn't know that until after I got home and my dad said,
But
put,
I mean-
put your car in the garage.
Yeah, but my family's... my dad was extremely caring for people that truly needed help, but like you would never know it. You know what I mean? Like we had a neighbor that had his kidneys removed and was on dialysis. He would go over there, just sneak off, go over there and sit with him for 8 hours, 3 times a week. Just come home. He didn't, like he wasn't, he
Never
didn't,
made a big deal of.
never made a big deal out of it.
Well, that's what I think is so funny. Also, pull the microphones to your faces.
They're getting tired. It's past their bedtime, babe.
What time is it? Is it
7:30.
10:30? What the
Jeez,
crap?
it's nearly your guys' breakfast time. But so that's what I mean is there are people who say, look away, children, when they pass a situation.
I
And
don't
then
think
there's
so.
people, absolutely.
You think there are?
Oh my God, yeah. All the time.
Well, Kim,
we have
yeah.
people, I have people that will tell us, oh, okay, so when I went in for my ablations, right, to get those nerve endings burned off.
I love telling the
It's
story to my coworkers.
7 a.m. Grandma and I are freaking exhausted. Mom falls asleep next to me. And this lady walks in with a super cute baby. And I don't even say anything. I just nudge and I go, hey. And Mom opens her eyes, looks at the lady and goes, let me hold your baby. And the lady just gave it up.
The baby.
Oh.
And she went into her appointment and had Grandma watch her baby. Some lady didn't
During
even
a
know her.
surgery. Mom just hung out, held the baby. That sounds insane to
When
so
I told
many
my
people.
coworker, some random lady just was okay with your mother-in-law holding their, yeah.
So there are things that so that's what's so funny about it is we say, well, yeah, what else are you going to do? But there are so many people out there that don't do that. So if it wasn't for you guys doing that, and that's what sincerity really is to me, is you go, well, of course. That's what we have to do in order for people to be happy and healthy.
Yeah. That's how society
Should be.
survives.
Yeah. And that's why I praise our Lord and Savior Satan. Praise be to the Kim, you want to grab our last snack?
What? The caramel things?
Yeah,
No.
whatever that. That's
Kim,
the
we
very
didn't hear
last
enough
one.
from you.
That's the only reason I agreed to do this. I knew there would be snacks.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We haven't done a snack.
Snacks.
3, 2, 1. Oh, no. The
What's
other one.
the when you do that?
this one. I want to do these ones.
Is it a commercial for
Oh,
the
you want
snack?
to do that?
Grandpa can't have those.
Why?
He'll shit himself.
Spicy? Is it spicy?
We'll save those for some other poor soul. We're going to do the easy ones this time.
Don't want your dentures to get stuck to that chewy stuff.
So who's going to be listening to this?
Fucking everybody.
Because I said some bad things about
Your mom.
Grandma, listen to
Grandma's
it.
brothers.
You call that one guy fat.
It's expired in December.
Oh,
You
yeah.
still want to eat it?
Yeah, let's get it.
He's not going to
Sugar.
listen to it.
How
That
can
guy.
sugar expire?
It's called Bimunellos. sweet, crispy wheels.
Bienvenidos.
And it's just sugar.
Oh,
Sugar,
yeah,
sugar,
let's do
sugar.
it.
There's some guy that looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy, but he works at a
Serving
call
size
center.
is 4 pieces, which is 360 calories and 20 grams of sugar. But we're only having one, so it's only, what, 8 grams of sugar?
Fantastic.
Did you get this at, like,
So what
Cup Food in the
motivates you
ethnic
to help
section?
people, Chris? You don't think that's just part of your
It's
personality?
a part of my DNA. Like, you
Personality,
guys, it became the same way that, like, you help your friend move furniture.
Yeah, Grandpa!
Put it in your mouth already.
Yeah.
Supposed to wait till everybody has one.
You did this the last time, too.
Did we? What did we eat last
Deborah.
time?
All right, well,
Okay.
Ew. Uh-uh.
You're supposed to rate it?
Yeah, gross.
Tastes
See-
like it's expired.
so you know the
It does taste expired.
the film that's left on a cupcake tin and you scrape it off?
Is that what
The
that
way
tastes
that
like?
that smells, that's what this tastes like.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
good description.
Not into it.
You should have had me do the chewy, spicy
Taste one
things.
more.
We could have just told Grandpa.
Just want to make sure. Yeah.
That's expired.
And it's got to be bad for Grandpa to say it's expired.
It's not bad. It's just, you can taste
I was going to say,
It's stale.
the way that you said that was, I didn't say I'm not going to eat it.
So why do you help people?
I help people because it's the only way for things to get better, is what I think.
And why do you help people?
Money.
See,
No,
I
I'm just
think-
kidding. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because I know
I
what
think
it's
it's
like
part
to
of
be
your
in that.
personality.
I was
Yes.
in that state where I needed help, and I had an awesome nurse that helped me out on a really rough night at the hospital, and I said, I
There you
want to
go.
do
Well,
that.
think
I'm gonna
about that.
help
Like
people.
early on in our relationship, you would see me say, "Come on, we got to go do that," and you'd be like, "No, let's
It
go."
just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, see.
Yeah.
With strangers.
So a lot of people just feel uncomfortable
Because
doing
I
it.
grew up and my dad helped people because it was his job, but
Oh,
or he had reasons for why you shouldn't help people.
But I don't. I guess I don't
Like
remember
you-
him just
you would give
helping
people's-
people for the sake of it. I'm sure he did. I just don't know of
You
it.
give people
But my
CPR,
mom-
and then his watch would ring, and you go, "Oh, shift's over."
But my mom, she would be broke in the bank helping out her brothers who were
Yeah.
not very helpful back to her. But she'd give anything to anyone. She'd give us
Yeah,
kids
see?
anything that we wanted and without any questions. And
Now, at first, so it is when I hate saying when I was in treatment so many times, but
we
I
get
learned,
it. You went to treatment.
So anyways, I'm in treatment. You guys heard about this? You seen this? There was a speaker who talked about codependency. And what I imagined codependency being, Rick and Morty is this cartoon
Yes.
that has an
Comes on after Bob.
amazing way
Asperger's.
of like portraying what a codependent relationship looks like. And it's these two monsters growing, and one of them is incredibly destructive and the other one makes excuses for the destructiveness. And like, it's so crazy. So that's what I imagined codependency being. I thought that that's what it was. But I found out that I actually have a codependent. So that's another part of why I help people, is because I have a codependent personality, which is to say that you feel that for some reason you have to right these injustices that you see. So growing up, like my defiance towards teachers, it was
Yep.
always
Oh,
linked
yeah.
to some type of
yes, that's correct.
Defending something.
feeling like
Absolutely.
yeah. And so I think that I thought that I can't believe that this is happening to this person. If I can do something about it, I need to do something about
That
it.
was really evident when you were a child. So now imagine, put yourself in the parent's spot. If your child is breaking rules for a good reason, or what he perceives as a good reason, that's not a bad thing, right? So how do you
discipline for that.
discipline somebody for that?
It's funny. So like the day that I learned that, this confrontation happened and
What
this-
at treatment?
call it RX.
Yeah.
Just teasing and just teasing.
So this person was, this really rough thing happened.
It's
And,
actually TX.
They,
RX is prescription.
Okay.
I stood outside of this like classroom, we'll say.
Did you kick him in the balls?
I kicked him in the balls. And he goes, "Why would you do that?" He came out of the room and started walking the opposite direction of me. And I was like, no. He's not in a safe place. I need to do something about it. And I walked up and I inserted myself, and I don't know what would have happened, but like the situation after a half an hour ended up being better than what it could have been. And I think I even told that person, I was like, I know why I'm doing this. I know that I have this defect, but I don't care. I know that it's a part of me now, but this like benefits way more than it adhere. Like, I get how it can be destructive, like if you go too far into it, because there's been instances where it's bit me in the ass, and I like learning that there's a difference between like needing to help somebody and like having like what I call a self-righteous tendency.
Yes.
I think that I know better, therefore I need to do this thing.
Yes.
And that's not always so like
that's not good.
I'm working through that.
Yeah,
but
I used to go on rants on Facebook, and it was
Which who is it? That's not helping anything.
Right.
I know. I have to cut myself off from commenting on people's stuff all the time. I have to be like,
What's the purpose?
What's the
of me
purpose?
saying
Yep.
this?
But so
I can't change people's thoughts. No one's going to change my thoughts.
But I still I tell myself that I don't care if I'm spending 2 hours with this couple to let them talk about whatever they're going through. I don't care that I'm spending, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you can use your flaws for the betterment of others, which is another like big tenet of how Kim and I try to showcase sincerity to friends that we make, is to let them know that like if they get in an argument about something, we go, "Oh, you think that's an argument?" And then we let them know that like
they're not alone.
They're not alone.
I think we've talked about how we have this on Facebook, Instagram. You always have this picture perfect life, and when people realize that things haven't been perfect, what, you guys' marriage hasn't been all rainbows? And no, it's been hard, because everyone would be like, you guys have such a great marriage, we want a relationship like you guys. It's like, okay, it's work to get to where we are now. I mean, it's not work, I don't feel like, as much anymore, but
it's always work.
Yeah, it's work for sure.
You can never stop working.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so much work.
Good thing Grandma's got that little white pill.
Sometimes one of you has to be the carrier.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I know my back's been hurting a lot lately.
I feel like I have a bulging disc. My back hurts so much.
What?
Driving around, or Grandma naps on that boat. I mean,
I sent out the video. Said boat season is back. Grandma took her spot on the boat.
You said she christened the boat with her nap.
Christened the boat.
That's so awesome.
It is.
Well, I think that's a solid 90.
Oh my goodness.
We did it, folks. This is episode 76. I don't know how often we're going to be doing these, because we're pretty heavy in the paint with the Not So Anonymous Alcoholic. You got and
I don't know how many people want to listen to your parents talk, really.
Oh, dude, you kidding me?
No, not kidding you.
So much. Yeah.
Brady, if you're listening to this,
we love you.
We love you.
We haven't talked about him at all. All the other cousins are going, "What the fuck?"
I know. All of your cousins are.
What did Brady do?
Listens?
Well, you know
Jackie.
what? Jackie, we love you.
Big up the island. Do you see Tom Hanks' son doing that? No. He speaks. What's that speak?
Yeah, I know.
Jamaican?
No.
Creole or something like that, or
No,
just
Creole
spit
is
in
what
my
those
eye.
Southerners do.
It's the French.
Yeah, but no. So he does like what people in Jamaica, the way that that dialect,
Whatever that- yeah.
I forget what it's called, but he knows how to speak that. And
It's awesome.
when he was on the red carpet, somebody like put a phone on him, and he was like, "Big up the island, we're down," and like.
He's so weird. Did you see the video where he was talking about his parents and
Without
how old
his
they were
shirt
without
on?
his shirt on the whole time? It's like, buddy, put a shirt on.
Who is that guy?
That's Tom Hanks'
Tom
son.
Hanks' son.
I know, but the other one, Colin.
Oh.
He's been in lots of movies.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know this
interesting.
one.
This is the middle child for sure.
I think he's the
Really?
youngest.
The
You think
baby?
he's watching?
Oh, I don't know.
But he's super funny. He's a rapper, has tattoos and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tom Hanks seems to just love it. He loves showcasing that guy. But yeah, super funny.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna end it. Grandpa's
so
gonna fall asleep.
we you know what we haven't done in a long time, Kim Duke? You ready for it?
Are you going to
I
fart?
thought this was over.
Okay, so at the end of each episode, subscribe, please. You know,
If you
YouTube,
want.
Like,
Apple
Subscribe,
Podcasts.
like and subscribe.
Like,
Follow.
subscribe, follow.
Smash that
Down
like
here.
button. Yeah.
Right here.
Is it right there?
I don't know.
Somewhere around.
It's
Don't
usually-
dislike.
It's usually
Like, oh yeah, you gotta. It's popping up right here. You know, Layla watches all those videos. When you hear them say that, you're like, yeah, we get
But
it.
at the end of each
Go
episode, we
Backstreet
say,
Boys.
"Au revoir, little ducklings, quack quack."
Au revoir, little ducklings, quack quack.
Backstreet Boys rule.
Okay.
quack back, quack duck back. What
Yep.
is it? quack seat back. That's what I meant.
Au revoir,
Ducks
Pee-wee.
flock together. Ducks flock.
How would you say "see you later"
In German.
ducks in German?
Ente is a duck. So you'd say Auf Wiedersehen, Ente.
Auf Wiedersehen, Ente. You friggin' Nazi.
You didn't
Good.
say it angry enough.
Good job, guys.